Welcome everyone to the Salt Lake Expositor, blasting across the airwaves on Randy C. Watt's channel, MomoNomo, and trickling through the airwaves on Ladder Daily Digest. And Randy, you want to tell people what's been going on with...
You bet. I would love to tell people what's going on. First of all, in my life, I hope that you all, before we get started, will take a knee and say a little prayer that the Seattle Seahawks will win the football game today. Gene has prayed for the San Francisco 49ers, and apparently his prayers are not being heard. So I feel like I'm a little bit special in that aspect.
So, are you praying to the right God? Gene hasn't found him yet.
I've been using Zeus. I don't know what other God to use.
It just ain't working. But it's been an incredible week, and I wanted to just put out our best wishes, including Jessica. You're part of this, but there's being parts of the United States that are being blasted, like freezer blasted right now, with snow falling in unprecedented numbers. And we hope and pray that all of you are safe and protected. And, hopefully not too many people will lose power, but I think that's probably wishful thinking.
And there's also way too much ice in Minnesota.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah. The wrong kind of ice. I'd rather have the slippery kind.
Yeah.
That's a disgusting situation, and we'll have to make that a different show. But please know that we're all thinking of you in the Midwest and through the East to for your safety. And the first time I was ever in an ice storm, and being an Arizona boy, this was huge. I was living in Memphis, Tennessee, and we had a major giant ice storm. Ice storms don't just form ice on the road. They form ice on the trees, which pulls the tree branches off. They form ice on the power lines and power poles, and it tumbles them down. And as far as driving, forget about it, especially if you're a kid from Arizona and this is your first time in an ice storm. That was pretty spooky. You'd go down a hill and then you couldn't get back up because, so I had to stay with some friends until the next day came along and we were able to take advantage of the cities clearing the ice off some of the streets. But it's a dangerous situation. So watch yourselves out there, be careful. And if you don't have to go outside, why the hell would you? You know what I'm saying? What do you think, Jessica? You're in Texas. How's the weather?
It's icy, exactly like you said. It's not like we got nothing, no snow. My daughter was up all night hoping, right? For Texan kids, that's kind of Candyland. When the white stuff comes down, they actually enjoy it. And school is off tomorrow, so here we go. That's a treat.
Nice.
But no, it's really, my dad even called this morning. He was like, "Are you guys okay?" And I'm like, every German would laugh. I cannot even call it snow. It's just ice here. But the point is really what you said is the huge difference. It's not even like we can't handle snow. We can't, because we don't have any, cleaning machines who can clean the roads. But the problem is really if you don't have electricity. And we had that actually, the Snowmageddon in Texas. We had only electricity on and off. And if your house is cold once it's cold, it's a shitty thing. I mean, we had blankets. I mean, we have a fireplace, so we were all huddling around the fireplace, and you get blankets. It wasn't that bad, and I'm pretty sure much more people had it worse than us. But it's definitely uncomfortable, to say the least. And you don't want to go on the road. You're not outside. I mean, everybody here, at least I know, was huddling up water. Water was low at Costco and HEB, but you still could get water. But yeah, it's definitely sometimes.
Gene, how is your Western Coast, Southern weather?
It's been really hard in the Bay Area to survive this weather. It's been between 61 and 65 degrees a day, perfectly clear. And I just need thoughts and prayers.
Thank you for that, Mr. Braggity Bragger Pants.
First world problems.
right now, even as we speak, I have a big heater on in my garage because it's, it's 30, 31 degrees outside, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And that's where we sit to watch football. My cigar smoking buddy and I will sit out there, have a couple of cigars, order some food, and watch football. Well, that heater's been going now for an hour, and it will continue to go until after the show. And hopefully it'll be tolerable enough to sit in there
Yeah.
because it gets a little chilly inside.
Yes, exactly.
And for some reason, Amanda doesn't like us smoking cigars in the house. I can't imagine why.
You need some
But-
heating blankets for the garage.
Yeah, exactly. And I have one for my little Oliver kitty, my Chihuahua. He sits on my lap with a heating blanket on there, and yeah,
There you go.
he's always comfy. And speaking of comfy, we are very happy to have Jessica with us again this week, and you'll be seeing Jessica on a regular basis. Megan is changing her situation up a little bit, so she'll contribute from time to time.
Yeah,
But
so
Jessica is the third member, and we're so happy to have her, and she's an incredible researcher.
and I'll say that Megan's ex-Mormon snark is doing well, and she's investing more time in the projects that she's had already been working on, and she also is changing employment and her situation, so she's going to invest more time in working for the man or the ma'am, depending on who the boss is. I don't know, but anyhow, and so yes, we're happy to have Jesse, and Megan will on occasion record something, and we will show her contribution later on in the episode.
Well, thank you. And I also want to say, I hope I make Megan proud. I thought she's an amazing person too, like always kind, always witty, always on the point. I mean, I know she's also sometimes guest on other podcasts, so she has definitely a ton. I always love hearing her voice and her opinions. So I wish her all the best. But the good thing is none of us have callings anymore. So a healthy way to say, hey, maybe this is too much, and she let it go. So I think we're all learning this, like we can say no once in a while too.
Yay. You have your home teaching and visiting teaching done for this month, guys?
Always.
Last week we touched on a little topic, and I just want to maybe use that as the segue for the first thing we want to chat about. We were talking about, actually, I guess it was on Tuesdays with Tim, the fun times in the LDS church, and we were talking about swimming parties and having watermelon and cookouts and all that they would have as a ward. There's something that always bugged me a little bit about the swim parties, though, is that none of the women wore swimsuits. They would wear, their garments and then T-shirts, probably something under their T-shirt, their T-shirts, shorts, or not shorts. What do they call those things where it just comes up halfway up the calf? Culottes. Capris. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I just thought that was really strange. And I remember asking one of my teachers, why don't they ever wear swimsuits? She says, oh, modesty. We don't want to be immodest.
Yeah.
But the guys just wore what guys wear, a pair of swim trunks, and that's it. We didn't care about showing our shoulders and becoming pornography.
Yeah. Oh, even like lately I thought about it, young women's camp, right? Like it's only girls and only women. So why were there even the same rules if it's all about the male gaze, right? Like then shouldn't it be not a problem? And then I heard that somebody said, well, once in a while the bishop comes and visits. And I'm like, most of the time a bishop is a father, right? So if you are a father and you cannot deal with a couple of, could be your daughters being in swimsuits, then doesn't that speak volumes about the guys and not the girls? Ward swim parties are weird in a sense that it's mixed gender, right? And then you do know them on Sunday and then you see them in the swimsuit. It shouldn't be. I think you're right. It's still this whole weird modesty thing that makes us a little weird about bodies. But when it's just one gender, then I mean, theoretically, I'm just saying you could be all naked because who cares? It's all girls.
Right? Something's a little out of balance.
Yes.
And I have grown up watching this, and I'm not, it's not like I'm a nudist. I don't walk around naked all the time, but I can certainly appreciate comfort. And I know that the way that they were always forced my mother and my sisters to dress definitely was not comfortable in the heat of the Arizona sun.
That's
But
for
then
sure.
go ahead, Gene. You say something?
Are
You're
you
muted.
Yep.
You're muted.
Yeah, so Jesse just said that's for sure.
Oh, okay. And I started to get a little bit bugged at the modesty thing. Uh, I just want to tell you this quick story. I was in Sunday school, and I was 11, and we were allowed to bring little show and tell items to our Sunday school class, and the teacher would let us show the class what we were proud of. And this girl named, I'll just say her name, Dina Starks. She brought some coins, and I loved collecting coins. And she stood up in front of the class, and she had this whole page that had plastic slots, and she was showing the coins. There were 2 rows. She was sitting in the front row. I was sitting behind her. And when she came and sat down, and we all oohed and awed over those coins, she set them on the ground underneath her chair. And so I'm stooping down, with my arms on my knees so I can look at these coins. And all of a sudden the lesson stopped, and the teacher said, "Randy Watts, maybe if you would stop trying to look up Dina's dress, we could go on with this lesson." She was
Wow.
she was in a metal folding chair, and I don't know, unless I can see through metal, I'm not looking up anyone's dress, and I didn't even care at that time.
Yeah, and I just want to say you were kids.
She shamed me publicly in front of my Sunday school class. And how do you even defend yourself? I'm not doing that. I'm trying to see the coins. And she just shook her head and went on with the lesson. What she said was absolutely, first of all, impossible to be a fact. And I'll never forget how humiliated I was and how concerned she was that Dina's slip may be showing or whatever she thought I might look at. Well, it's progressed on, and it's gotten worse because our patriarchy, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but our patriarchy, including the leaders of the church, the apostles, have taught and taught and taught that when women don't dress perfectly modestly and cover their shoulders, by the way, at least back then, if you weren't dressed perfectly, you could be labeled pornography to those young men who are looking at you.
Or old men.
Or old men,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, the leaders and all that. And I'm thinking, wait, so it's never the men's fault if they're having bad thoughts. It's
Exactly.
always the women. It's always, if they're sexually assaulted, what do they ask them? What were you wearing? How are you acting? What would make him so tempted? Always blaming it on the woman. And I think that's just repulsive.
It is
And-
repulsive, but I feel like there's also an element that we're forgetting is it's dangerous because what do you tell young men who get sexually assaulted and raped, which 90% they get raped by men? What were they
Right.
wearing? Were their balls out? Were their their genitals too much on the display? And that's why it happens. And then it gets really disturbing if you look into child sexual assault. So what was the child wearing? So now you want to say the child that was 3 years old, 5 years old, 8 years old, it's the clothing. So why is it always only a problem when women wear or dress immodesty and not with children or men? And it's also then really disturbing or disorienting for boys because they're kind of like, so what did I do? Why was I asking for it? Like, if it's not the clothing, then why did that man thought it was okay, to do this to me? And in a humorous way, it's almost like if you would say when somebody breaks into your house, well, I mean, of course, look at your house. It's beautiful. Of course they would break into it. Nobody would ever make that stupid, disturbing, dangerous argument. That's why I really hate it. It's just so dangerous for any victim of any gender.
That is so true. What do you think, Gene?
I agree, except for I don't have anything valuable in my house, just so that nobody.
Me neither.
I don't think Michelle would like you to hear you say that.
Okay, Michelle is valuable. She comes and goes as she pleases, though. I didn't install her.
Jesse asked an interesting question as we were just about ready to come on the air. She said, do I feel like BYU is a microcosm of the church in general, the church as a whole? And looking at some of the instructors, oh my gosh, it's that and worse. And I wanted to show you an example. We often show clips of Megan Hayes, who is an incredible podcaster, and she is up on the news every morning. Gene and I have interviewed her once or twice, and she's always on it. She gets up early, studies the news, and if something happens in the middle of the night, she's up and reporting on it. Her and Rebecca Biblioteca both have that same enthusiasm, and we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
But she ran a story last week actually this week, that just about jolted me out of my chair. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a naked body, but apparently the church doesn't want any of us to know that women have breasts and boys have wieners. That is off limits.
We can't handle it.
Go ahead, Jess.
Oh, I just said apparently we can't handle it.
Apparently we can't handle it. Anyway, I just want to run this little segment for you that I think is really interesting. Here we go.
In Mormonism, authority is the ultimate measure. What leaders say outweighs conscience, experience, or personal understanding. Now let's take a look at this video that came up in my feed recently.
So I go to school at BYU-Idaho, which is a church-run school by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons. And this is what I'm learning in my college-level human anatomy and physiology class. Every diagram is censored to block out the genitalia and female breasts. His reasoning was because there are freshmen in the class who are too young for that, or they will learn about it when they're older or when they're further along in their major. My favorite is how we're gonna go over the reproductive organs without being able to see them. So I don't know how that one makes sense. A good chunk of these freshmen that are too young to see the human body in an anatomically correct way will also be married within the next couple semesters, because that's just what's normal here. This does not make sense to me.
This isn't just censorship, it's an educational problem.
Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? At a college, an accredited college where people go to study things like medicine and physiology, anatomy, they have blocked out the breasts and genitalia so that hopefully the students won't know what's down there. It'll all be a big surprise.
Yes. I mean, what came to my mind just this moment was, I'm pretty sure you guys remember this. There was a time, we're talking years, where pornography talk was every channel conference. We got hit over the head, right and left and front and back. So I remember even a bishop who said once in our ward, it's not a question of if a boy watches pornography rather than when. So if we on the other side say, boys will watch pornography, it's just what it is. Obviously we don't want them to, but it will happen. And we kind of at least acknowledge this to some degree, then how can a professor say a freshman, so in college, who is a graduate from high school, has never seen a naked body. So what is it? They're constantly seeing it and we're trying to stop this, or they're so naive and have never seen it, so we still need to protect them in college. I mean, you can't have it both ways, but Mormonism always wants it both ways. And that's why, like she said, why it's never makes sense. Anything never makes sense, because you always hear both sides.
Exactly.
It's incredible that they, it's a similar thing. Like you can be 8 and be fully cognizant and aware and consent to being baptized, consent to do all the covenant path stuff when you're only 8, but you're not mature enough at 18 to study the human body.
In cartoon, right? It was a drawing. It wasn't even a photography, which most biology books will have. This was a drawing, a freaking drawing.
It's just a freaking drawing. That's right. It's just a chart. Wait, what? When I went on my mission to Spain, and they have commercials that show women naked, and guess what? The kids don't even think a thing about it. By the time they're freshmen in college, they know what's up. They know what's what, and it's no big deal. When I was living in France, I was living there on the Disney compound, and we'd get to go out to the swimming pool after work, and get a little sun, lay out. And women in France, they don't wear tops. Most of them don't. It's just monokini. Well, I got a real big kick out of that for the first, I don't know, day. But after that, it's like that you've seen them all pretty much. And it became just normal. You don't even give it a second look.
So you didn't need X-ray vision when you were in Europe?
No, my X-ray vision didn't need to be engaged.
But let's also mention, in Europe, guys wear Speedos. I mean, maybe the younger generation not as much, but I grew up, even my dad wore like really tight swim pants, and I never thought any sexual about it. So that's the other problem in Mormonism, or in general purity culture, right? Or modesty culture, is this, it's the female body. Like, so we pretend women are in general asexual. Like, we don't get a kick out of seeing, a guy's butt, crutch, or whatever, right? So we pretend on the one side, women apparently are totally in control and totally asexual and have no problem with that. And then on the other hand, we making boys, to their disadvantage too, sex monsters who can't handle even the slightest bit of skin, because back to, I think Randy, you were it, right, who mentioned Oaks, bare shoulders are already a problem in walking pornography. So what is it now? We can't handle the genitals, or is it just in general shoulders? And when we go back to the 1800s, it was the ankle, the foot ankle of women, right? And men apparently would go bonkers. But then there's never enough for women. We can't make it right? So if we have to cover the ankles, the shoulders, then we end up in Islam, where women have literally just something for their eyes to look out. So when would it be enough for men?
One of my close relatives would not allow her children to watch the Titanic. For one reason only. When what's her name was being painted,
Kate Winslet, yeah.
She had one breast out, if I recall.
For a drawing, right? Not sex scene.
No, it's an artist painting.
Yeah.
And she withheld that movie from her kids when it was a huge movie. Kids were talking about it in school, what a great movie it was. They couldn't see it because there was a female breast that was being showed in that movie for I don't know how many seconds, but probably not more than a couple.
Yeah, no.
Is that what this culture has brought us to, seriously, to withhold useful and imperative information in a lot of cases because they don't want us seeing anything? Jessica, do you want to maybe introduce what you sent to us about the cheerleaders, and I'll play that video?
Yeah, go ahead with the video and then we can talk about it.
Okay. I'll just leave us
For
up
pictures,
on here. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Can one of you guys read what on top? For me, it's a little too small.
Gene, you want to read that?
I wonder if our young sisters realize the temptation they are flaunting before young men when they leave their body parts uncovered. Parts is parts. And then I can't read, but maybe Randy, you could just go back to your.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'll read it. It says,
Yeah.
BYU-Idaho versus BYU cheerleaders. The Lord's standards are eternal and unchanging. Unless you have a Division I athletics program and don't want to look like loony fundamentalists on national TV.
Yeah, I mean, this is just in a way, it's a little, humorous, but I mean, there's multiple aspects, right? The one aspect is like you have BYU Provo, right? So there's a distinction between BYU-Idaho and BYU Provo. So BYU Provo is more the campus that want to be seen by the world, that they're accepted, that they are something, that stand for something, but they also know in a way, okay, that's too fringy if our cheerleaders cover their shoulders because, that's not what cheerleaders do in America. And then you have BYU-Idaho, and I heard where somebody, or read it yesterday on a blog where somebody said BYU-Idaho is what the church wants to be, and BYU Provo is what the church wants the world to see, kind of. So it's a little ironic, but there is so much truth to it, and also the hypocrisy in Mormonism itself, right? Like that, for the one hand, we don't want to look like weirdos or peculiar people. That's a word Mormons like to use. But on the other hand, that's what we actually expect, especially in BYU schools. You can get kicked out of the school and lose your degree if you don't comply with dress codes.
They are unusual and they are ridiculous. So
I mean,
too late.
Those extra clothing on the cheerleaders. I mean, they might as well use the fundamentalist dresses. And,
yes.
At least they would be prettier.
Or more normal, right? That's just what it is. Let's all say it. It's normal. And not every man sexualizes cheerleaders either. We can just see naked skin and be fine with it. If you can go to that picture where I think it's the girls' BYU volleyball and the men's BYU basketball.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of highlights kind of the double standard on top, because it's funny when we'll see the picture in a second that on the one hand, we want to make modesty about mostly girls' bodies. Mm-hmm. But then again, in sports, we like them to wear skinny, kind of, if you want to say, revealing clothing, and yet the guys have loose clothing. So it can't be the sports per se, because I understand, like people were saying, you can get, stuck in the net or whatever, but then the boys would have the same problem, and apparently they have not. So is sports about clothing or not, or is that still a gender thing? And then shouldn't it be the opposite, that boys could wear tight and short clothing and girls should still not?
Gene, I want to know your honest answer. When you saw a picture of that cheerleader, what went through your brain? Were you incredibly aroused? Did you see their shoulders?
I did, and it just looked like a cheerleader. I was just wondering what game it was, and it's just the standard thing. Every high school you go to, that you would see the same thing, right? Everywhere in society where there's cheerleaders, it's just what it is, right?
Exactly.
So I was thinking we should talk a little bit about why this culture exists.
Well, one quick moment here. I know that Jessica had asked that we put this up on stage next.
Right.
So I'm gonna increase the size of that so maybe get a better view of it.
And honestly, if you ask me, those girls look good. You know what I mean? That look good, the attire. There's nothing sexual about it. They're girls, and if they feel comfortable in those clothing and it helps them play volleyball, bravo, kudos to you.
Yeah.
But then you see the boys in those frumpy things, and even if they feel comfortable in that too, sure. But if you,
Randy, and then scroll up.
So if what do you mean scroll up, Gene?
So zoom in again, like you did before, and then scroll up so we can see the bottom half of this.
So
yeah, scroll down, then scroll down.
Okay, gotcha. So there's a picture of the volleyball uniforms.
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Now, if we take
like really short shorts.
if we take a look at the men's volleyball shorts, we can see they're baggy,
You have to go
above
up
the knee,
more.
kind of like best.
You have to
Okay,
go
Gene,
more.
got it. I'm just reading it.
Okay.
Yep, here we go. Volleyball team, the guys. Long shirts, kind of floppy, shorts almost long, I would say, for guys to adapt absolutely to the knee. So would I say those are Mormons? Yes. With the girls, it's almost like, huh, interesting. I guess the Mormons aren't as, prude or whatever. So what is it?
Yeah, what is it? That's a good question.
Right?
Well, I have to say, we started off this whole conversation talking about football, and every team has these cheerleaders, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, the famous,
Cowgirls.
and they don't show them much, but when they do show them, they're usually wearing really sexy outfits to enhance and accentuate their bodily shapes, which is just fine with me because I think it
Yeah.
looks great.
Yeah.
And I don't wonder what it's like to see him naked. I
No.
don't wonder what's under those uniforms. No, they're just together. They look great. They do a good job.
But here's the thing. Why do people think Chippendales exist? Because women don't have a female gaze. Women don't care about, bodies of men. We find men, I mean, if you're heterosexual, right? So if you're a heterosexual woman, you find male bodies attractive. So why do we pretend only men can appreciate a sexy outfit and women don't? When in fact, then there would be no Chippendales. There would be no clubs for girls to go to see guys in tight outfits. And
Right.
a couple of years ago, I did quite a deep dive into, in general, like pornography. And these days, there's enough statistic that I think it was 43% of women watch pornography, because now there's pornography for women. Women never liked men's focus on pornography, how it was filmed. But now we have more ethical and also female focused. And look at this, women watch pornography. I'm not saying, watch pornography. I'm not saying I'm for it. There's also obviously a very disturbing side of pornography in general with human trafficking, and we don't want to go in there. All I wanted to say is the disturbing aspect in Mormonism or purity culture is this only focus on female bodies and pretending only male humans are sexual aroused. No, both humans, male and female are sexual aroused. Both can appreciate bodies, and both can see in their regular life that humans are humans and naked bodies are naked bodies. Because how would any nurse survive her shift, or any doctor or gynecologist? We're kidding ourselves if we think we're not able to control ourselves and not always sexualize bodies.
I can visualize a gynecologist. One of his patients comes in. He says the nurse will prepare you. She gets in that little skimpy robe, does the whole spread thing, and then the nurse puts on big orange dots, tapes them to her boobs and her crotch. So when the doctor comes in, he sees what he
That's a
saw
good
at
one.
BYU-Idaho.
Yes, I guess so. Exactly.
And why, Jesse, do you think that this is detrimental to people for their future lives? This
Well, there's
extreme modesty.
exactly. I mean, first of all, we have to acknowledge this is patriarchy in control. Means men are in control. And which, to just say it up front, patriarchy harms men too. I'm not saying patriarchy only harms women. They're mostly on the front of it. But to your point, why is it harmful? First of all, it sets most of our marriages up for failure. Sexually, how we interact, how we deal with naked bodies. Like she said in the video, right? She was like, think about it. We pretend they're not capable of seeing naked art or cartoon, but most likely they're married in the next 12 months. And then they kind of, I mean, you would assume, see a naked body having, intercourse with each other. So, I mean, that's one aspect. It also, like I said, it's harmful for girls to only feel my body is only there to sexualize it. And then the other problem a lot of girls in purity culture and modesty culture have is dieting culture. Is like, because do we only sexualize women who have big boobs, or do we do that with flat-chested women too? When do men, patriarchy, start sexualizing female bodies? When they're 5, 6, 7, 8? When do I have to expect it as a mom and a father? You know, when do I have to expect that my daughter will be sexualized? When she's 12, 13? Or is it only when she starts growing breasts? Is that really the big issue? And then is there a time maybe when men stop doing it? Maybe when I'm 60, 70, I can't walk around naked because nobody gets aroused anymore? It's silly. I mean, silly is almost too calm, obviously. It's intoxicating for men to pretend that's all they're capable of seeing in women, besides a partner, a human, somebody they just love for who they are, besides just the body. But the other thing is, like I said, so dietary culture then goes into eating disorder. A lot of girls, and in Utah, it's a huge problem too, they have an eating disorder. Because, and I remember that too, and I can give that example in a little bit, but the thing is, if I could control my body and have it slim, which also the lie then in a lot of purity culture is thinness is healthy, because that's what Mormons kind of like to do too. Oh, we have the word of wisdom, but we chunk, liters of soda and swig, but hey, we ignore that. But it's like thinness is not healthy, because if I have an eating disorder, you die way earlier in life than if somebody tells me, Jesse, you're obese, you might, your life will be short 3 years. That means I can still be 75 or 80, but that girl was 16, she might die with 18, because eating disorder is way harder on your body than obesity. But we don't want to talk about it even as a culture, because we appreciated or learned to appreciate thinness. So there is like a real danger for girls. But it also really puts men, and it's like, what does it really say about our men? I don't see my husband. I don't see you guys, my sons, my brothers. I'm like, they're not sex monsters. That's not the only thing they see in female bodies. And they're, oh my gosh, they don't know where to look if the naked shoulder. Then I do wonder how men really, like, how do you go to the beach? You just, being erect all the time. Like, we all know it's not true.
Yeah,
It's
I would
harmful
love
for
to get
both.
a T-shirt that says, "I overcame anorexia." I'll never look anorexic.
Yes.
But also, to Jesse's point, the harm is that's caused is when it's like saying, don't think of pink polka dotted elephants. Everybody's going to think about it. So if you say, don't look at their shoulders, or don't look at this, or don't look at that, it's going to make it more curious, right? So the modesty culture causes the problems they're trying to solve by, talking as if a natural body, as in, the textbooks, is something that can't be seen by humans, right? Except for a certain place, right? And I know that there's something in the temple where God says, only within my bounds, right, is what the exclamation point is. But we also want to know, for people who haven't been to the temple, what are the things historically in Mormonism that have caused this modesty culture, this purity culture? And it's called rape culture in the regular world, but we'll use the modesty culture because it's easier on the algorithms, the ears. And so anyway, so here's not necessarily the start of it, but here's a harmful quote, and it's by Reuben J. Clark. He says, "I'm sure you girls do not appreciate, you young people, and it may not be the older ones, that the nudity which your fashions now sanction and indeed call for has its origin in those minds which seek to clothe you, that you may appeal to the baser passions of men. And if so clothed, you shall be assaulted. Take at least part of the blame to yourself." So that's
Lovely.
one of the things that shows that somebody who apparently dresses not modestly is causing men to have these problems, and yet there's other things that say otherwise. And then here's another example of an ad that said, "Don't shortchange yourself. The way you dress advertises your standards," right? And then modesty. "It's much easier to ask women to dress like shapeless, sexless adolescents and to expect men to think and act like decent human beings. So that's what the counterpoint is. Men
Yes.
should just act like decent human beings. But if you cover something up, I mean, I'm sure that even like burqas and other things are cause men to be excited to see more than just the eyes of the
Of
female.
course. Of course.
Look, I saw some lady's ankle the other day. They could talk in the locker room. you
Yeah.
know,
You know, when I was 8 years old, my dad really effed me up for many, many years by something he said to me. I was just a normal 8-year-old kid, and I'd run from my bedroom into the bathroom, and I'd have my tidy-whitey undies on. And one day my dad came to me and he said, "Son, you're 8 years old. You're going to be a young man soon. And so I think it's time that you stop wearing underwear where your mom can see."
Wow.
so you went naked then.
Disturbing.
Yeah, it's like, what do you say? I thought,
exactly.
I remember as an 8-year-old thinking how weird that was.
Well, and
Like-
that's incest. Like your mom would sexualize you?
Right.
Yeah, of course she wouldn't. She doesn't
No.
care if I'm in my tidy whities, but
She
my
saw you
patriarchal
thousands
father,
of times.
Yeah,
yeah, she even saw more than that when she changed my freaking diapers.
exactly.
But I mean, you
I mean,
know,
she bathed you when you were 2, 3, 4, helped you out.
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's just, it just, and you know what? I got to tell you, as I was growing up, I was a little funky with my whole nudity thing. I mean, I'll be honest with you, because it was such a no-no to see any nudity and such a sin, if you should, it made me, and I know my friends, want to see those nudie magazines a lot more,
Of course.
because now it was the forbidden fruit. And
Exactly.
heaven forbid we should find out
Yeah,
that women have breasts. And
exactly.
you know, Jessica did some research and came up with something that, let me tell you, this really bugs me too, is that when the church hangs artwork, well, there's famous pieces of art that are in chapels all over the world, but they've had their artist go in, and where Mary's holding baby Jesus, and she may have a little cleavage because she is a nursing mother.
Exactly.
Heaven forbid that they should see that cleavage. So what do? Can you enlarge that, Gene?
I'm not sure how good it'll look.
Oh, just pinch and open it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If look what they did. They actually painted over her chest so that it looks like she's wearing a Mormon approved outfit that she could wear her garments with.
But look closely. It's even worse. It's not even, you could think they put the hem up, but they also made her flat chested. There's not even a bump anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So it's
they don't want
double
us-
worse.
They don't want us to know about breasts. Too late.
Yeah. It's really disturbing. And that's the other thing, that when I learned about purity culture is connected to diet culture, is connected to patriarchy, is that patriarchy idolizes a child's body. I mean, at this point, it's almost like a sausage fest, right? Then why don't you admit you like guys? You know what I mean? That's really what you want from us women, to look like guys, have no figure. Because if you cannot learn in a normal way and handle that some women have more curves than others, I mean, that's just human nature. And then there's also culture. So patriarchy and purity culture is also racism, because you idolize mostly white female bodies, because there's lots of culture where females have way more curves, and actually guys appreciate it. They don't like the flat-chested women.
Right.
So it's not even, it's more like there's geography, there is different races. So there's also a part of racism that we have to look in the face and say, wow, this is really disturbing on a lot of different ways.
Yep. And here's another example.
They
Just
clip the wings of the angels and they put more modest clothing on them, I think.
Yeah, they had to
Yep.
put shoulders on their angelic robes
Yep.
so that they could wear their garments, because I hope you all know that when you're an angel, you got to wear garments.
And it's so silly to clip the wings, because can you not deal with art as a Mormon? Can you not appreciate, hey, that was a different religion, that's what they believe, you had to clip their wings? I mean, so
You know,
what? Leave the wings on.
exactly. Maybe some religions believe that angels
Yeah,
have wings, but typically that's just an indication that they're angels. You know, they put the
exactly.
wings on there, symbolic that they're angels, they're angelic.
I mean,
But
same
no,
with Mary has the holy thingy on, right? It's like, do we really, even Catholics, believe she has that? No, it's just a symbol. Can we live with
right.
symbols? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the censorship is brutal in Mormonism. And I even read an article recently where a woman was talking about that, even if you're a bigger woman, normally you have a bigger chest, just comes with nature, that in Mormon, like Ensign magazines, she either has a hymn book then in front of her, and they rather always portray, which I never paid attention to either, those flat-chested women. But that's the funny thing then, in the way, it's on one hand, it's like, what's that really weird Mormon saying, modest is hottest or something,
Right. Modest is
right?
honest. Yeah.
It's an oxymoron, because it's either you want modesty or you want sexy and hot, but those are kind of polar opposite, or am I wrong here?
You're 100% right. You know, I was it's just laughable, and it's really not, because it's not funny. But look what it's done. This culture that we're discussing, and the reason we're discussing this is that this can be so detrimental to the members of the church who try to abide by these rules. Well, what's going on in the church now with these men who are kept from seeing breasts and crotches, and what's going on? Well, guess what? They 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 don't have any control, and they go to weird fantasies that don't even have to do with women. And I mean, look at the number of uh, assault victims, sexual assault victims in the church, children, so many of them. Is it because maybe their leaders saw a woman in a swimsuit one time and realized she had breasts? No, it's because these men are so repressed that they
Exactly.
just go out of control and they don't know how
Exactly.
to handle themselves.
And then back to that quote from whoever prophet it was, right? I mean, maybe back in the day they didn't have the word, but we call that victim blaming. To say you should take part of it in, and I forgot, there was another apostle who did the same, kind of like, well, at least blame a little bit on you. This is victim blaming. Now we all disturbed because the world taught us this is not right, and yet we had prophets who should see around corners, who are also just a victim of their culture of clothing, right? Because if all our prophets would come from Africa, I'm pretty sure they would have a totally different idea about clothing. But yet they all come from Utah, white men, and so therefore they're just influenced by that. But then they're also stuck in the past because we only have old leaders. We don't have leaders who are actually in life. They're having still young daughters where they're like, oh, actually, you know what? No, my daughter taught me this and this, and I can, fix this, or we should make this right. This is actually not right. I learned something. But that's the other problem. Mormonism, at least in comparison to a lot of other religion, is not capable of repentance as an organization and making it right. We either ignore the past. Oh, what? We taught this? What? No, can't remember. And just, say, no, it's just different. But then you should apologize because you harmed so many women or men in past generations. And then when you fix it, then make it clear, like with the garments. I mean, remember that photo that we just had with the silly Modesty? It was a dress with sleeves and one without. Now, apparently, that's all normal in Mormonism. Even the garments don't have sleeves. So,
Temporary commandment, right?
yes, exactly. Or prophets can't see around corners, because if, a year or decade is just a minute for God, which, I mean, that's kind of what you have to believe, right? For him, time is not the sense that we have of time. He should have known that the clothing will change and the garments. So then why was it such a big deal for this prophet when it's all of a sudden, poof, gone for this
Yeah, so
prophet,
you're
apparently.
saying if God gets distracted, 20, 30, 40 years could go by before the church actually changes the things that God really wanted to change way earlier.
Yes.
And here's
And then that's
Elizabeth
harmful.
Smart. Elizabeth Smart is in the news again because on Netflix they're showing a documentary,
Yes.
and there includes this article that says purity culture bad for women, worse for survivors of sexual assault. And so I don't know why I have the ad, but anyway, Elizabeth Smart, when she was captured, she thought she was, and she was raped. Thought she was now no longer of value as a human. She thought that she might as well be dead because of what happened to her. And so,
And it's heartbreaking. If I may read from The Guardian about Elizabeth Smart, it was a
sure.
great quote. It says, "Where does a woman's value lie? In her brain, her heart, her spirit? According to right-wing culture warriors, between her legs. That's what underlies the emphasis on virginity as purity and the push for abstinence-only education. And it has a very real consequences, most recently articulated by Elizabeth Smart. Smart, who was kidnapped and held for months while her captor repeatedly raped her, recently discussed how her religious background made her feel worthless after the first rape, how she understands why others wouldn't even try to escape if, like her, they were taught that sexually impure women had nothing to offer."
Right?
I mean, that just gives me goosebumps. This is so dangerous and painful and no words.
I want you both to think back, because you know that we've sat through thousands of lessons in all the meetings that we attended. But I want you both to think back. I can tell you that there were dozens of lessons about don't drink, don't smoke, don't, the word of wisdom. There were dozens of lessons about you've got to go to the temple. You've got to do your home teaching. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. But I want you to think of how many lessons you had growing up and into adulthood to right now. How many lessons did you have about how wrong it was to assault a child?
That's a good point. Yep.
Never heard a word about it.
No.
But you can sure as hell bet that they're going to teach lessons about how girls need to have their shoulders covered and their dresses down to their knees.
Yep. And also that, let's face it, right? Statistically, child abuse is 90% a male that you knew. So this boogeyman, this like stranger in, running and grabbing you and whatever. I mean, even Elizabeth Smart, let's put it back to, she knew that man. That man went in and out of her house, was a former Mormon, believed, I mean, he was nuts that he's a prophet. But where did he got all those ideas from? Mormon culture, Mormon influences, right? And then he went with it and he wanted to live polygamy. That's why he stole, whatever you want to call it, kidnapped Elizabeth. So we don't talk in Mormonism because we don't want to imagine that, I say it now maybe too harsh, but that the beasts are under us. They're living beneath us. They're not the stranger. It's not the Catholic. It's not the other. That's always so nice. It's the other, right? Nobody from our circle. And it's 90%. I mean, Boy Scouts abuse was done 100% by Mormon Boy Scout leaders on Mormon Boy Scout boys.
How old was Elizabeth Smart when she was kidnapped?
14.
14. Yeah. So you notice he didn't kidnap a woman who he could have polygamy with. There's a lot of women out there that would be happy to say, sure. But what does he do? He selects a 14-year-old girl.
Exactly. Which goes back to our roots in Mormonism, right? Joseph Smith marrying in
JS.
Exactly. And we have to say it. We still see it now in Utah and FLDS and the Kingston clan. They always end up in jail because they're marrying teenage girls. And that's how polygamy started. It's coercion, it's forcing them in some sort of a marriage because then their families will be exalted, and Joseph Smith could promise that whatever. There's a power dynamic that's absolutely already toxic and abusive. But that's the roots of our religion. And as long as we cannot face that as well and say, whoa, we have some things to talk about and bring it to light, I think Mormonism is doomed. You need to start by the roots and fix them and make it, like, say it out loud. It was bad. It was not from God. And then maybe work on purity culture and modesty as well. But I feel you have to start with the roots.
This stupid modesty attitude that the church has is detrimental to all of those growing up in it, because it gives this false narrative about what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
And
bad education. That's
right.
the other thing. You groom kids to be almost perfect victims for pedophiles if you have no words for it. If you don't know how it works, what a person is not supposed to do, that an adult should always honor your boundaries. But if you don't even can name your body parts, because that's the other thing in Mormonism, a lot of parents, they don't want the school to educate the kids about sexuality, but then it's only no sex before marriage education at home.
Exactly.
That's breeding victims.
Exactly.
was
I just
checking
thought
some out.
this was,
You know, we've kind of been going on it. It was Megan's presentation, something that would add to even what we're talking about, or is it totally different? We need a segue away from in order to talk about Megan's.
I just wanted to show one last thing that Jessica
Okay.
sent to me. I think it's just funny. So,
Yeah.
So the father says, I noticed you're wearing open-toed shoes. So when did you become a whore?
I mean, it's silly, right? And you can laugh about it and that's okay. But it really shows that there is no limit, because then, like I said, we ended the burqa. Because what is it? Is it the shoulder? Is it the boobs? Is it the toes? I mean, like I said, in the 1800s, it was the ankle. Like, ooh, that was absolutely like, if women, which is funny enough, that's actually why they have those stairs in those like big houses where they had slaves, right? They had staircases who went this way so that women weren't forced to show their ankle when they take steps on the stairs, so that they would be covered by the stairs. So that was a huge taboo. So it shows just, it's a time thing. It's a geography thing. I mean, fashion comes and goes, and it's absolutely dependent where you grow up and everything. So it shows, if Mormonism wants to play the eternal law card, your rules change all the freaking time.
Right. Gene, you were mentioning something about Megan's presentation. Did you mean Jessica's presentation?
No, Megan sent us her aim in a video, and I thought you said you had it.
Megan Hayes is the one I was talking about.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Megan Connor sent us something. You want me to play that?
Yeah, that would be great.
So yeah, Megan's presentation. Let me get this going. I have to click a whole bunch of buttons. She is unable to be on air with us often, so she is going to share things. And since we're almost an hour into the show, I thought we would present this, and then we can go on to other things as well. Let me see. Set that up. It takes Randy and I a long time to do this because it's been
Hey, speak for yourself.
We had too much fun last night with all the
Gene's the one
posters.
actually who taught me to do all this. So
yeah, so here is Megan's.
The Lord does not need your money.
Hello, beautiful humans. It's a great day to remind you that child SA is still rampant in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In today's report, I'm talking about Jared Wilson, who lives in Provo, Utah. This is breaking news from floodlit.org as of January 24th, 2026. A Floodlit investigation revealed that after a stake president in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was accused in a lawsuit of covering up child SA, the church then promoted him to be a 70 and a temple president. The church settled the lawsuit in 2015. Floodlit also learned that the convicted abuser discussed in the lawsuit later offered advice for entrepreneurs on a church-owned university's YouTube channel and attended temple services as an unregistered S offender. The temple was the Raleigh, North Carolina temple of the church. It was rededicated in 2019 after 20 years of operation. Elder Matthew S. Harding in Area 70 in the church's leadership said, quote, "The open house was a chance of a lifetime." He'd been assigned by the church's first presidency to coordinate the temple's open house and dedication. Harding was president of the Raleigh stake from 2008 to 2018 when the church assigned him to the Area 70 position. In 2023, the church made Harding the Raleigh Temple president. As of January 2026, Harding remains in that position. The lawsuit filed in June of 2013 against the Mormon Church in the Wake County Superior Court, plaintiff Jane Doe, the alleged victim's mother, alleged that Jared Wilson, who is pictured here, referred to in the complaint as, quote, "the pedophile," reported himself in 2008 or 2009 to Bishop Cope, who informed others within the Raleigh stake about the man's activities. She said she has cause to believe that this man SA'd 3 of her children. In 2010, Wilson, a Mormon church member in Raleigh, was charged with several crimes related to child SA and was convicted in 2011 of 6 total counts of indecent liberty. Wilson was released from prison in June of 2015, according to his North Carolina S offender registry listing in May of 2025. Wilson was successful in his effort to be removed from the North Carolina S offender registry in 2025 with the help of Paul Dubling, an attorney noted for his criticism of S offense registries. Wilson had been registered for 10 years. In April of 2025, the BYU Technology Transfer Office published an interview with Wilson on its YouTube channel where he offered business advice for startup entrepreneurs. BYU is, of course, owned and operated by the Mormon Church. In October, Wilson reported on his personal blog that he had recently attended an endowment session in the Raleigh, North Carolina LDS temple, and that he was married in an LDS temple in Utah in 2022. As of January 2026, Wilson lives in Utah and is not registered as an offender. During the lawsuit, the church said that, quote, "The first time Jared confessed to any defendant that he had engaged in misconduct was in June of 2010 when he confessed to Bishop Cope in the presence of a family member and another church member that he had inappropriately touched 2 girls in 2007. However, the plaintiff insisted that the defendants learned that Wilson was interested in children and acting on that interest before this 2010 exchange, adding that Wilson had told a court, quote, he had been confessing at least 2 years before he turned himself in. The lawsuit said that Wilson held church positions that included ward Sunday school teacher for children ages 3 to 12, ward Sunday school president, ward music chairman, and ward missionary. According to the complaint, for a period of years before the plaintiff, who was the victim's mother, discovered that this person had battered her children, the defendants were aware that this man had battered 1 or more other children within the stake. Wilson's stake president, Matthew Harding, went on to become an Area Authority 70 in 2009 and president of the Raleigh, North Carolina Temple in 2023, where again, he is still serving. Harding was named a defendant in the lawsuit along with Bishop Ken Carlisle and Bishop Brian Cope, both of whom were bishops of the Raleigh 4th Ward during times relevant to the lawsuit. Harding was an attorney who graduated from the BYU Law School. According to an official bio on the church's website, Harding previously worked as an assistant general counsel for Bayer Corporation, Science LP, and as counsel for the Dow Chemical Company. Carlisle, Cope, and Harding were accused in the lawsuit of failing to report the perpetrator to civil authorities despite alleged communication with church representatives in Salt Lake City, Utah, on the church's telephone hotline or helpline for ecclesiastical leaders dealing with allegations of SA. Instead of reporting Wilson to police or prosecutors, church officials arranged for Wilson to be accompanied by a priesthood holder while walking the halls at church. The plaintiff accused Harding of telling her to forgive and forget the SA of her children.
All right, crew, we are going to bust some common weight loss myths. Cut all carbs. Wrong.
Weight loss shot.
After the plaintiff's children were abused, Stake President Harding acknowledged the extreme pain inflicted on the plaintiff and her children and apologized to the plaintiff for not doing enough to protect her children, but told her to forgive and forget. He told her that his only hope of the pain going away is to encourage you to move forward or press forward in Christ and avoid dwelling in the past. The suit said that in August of 2011, Stake President Harding, concerned that the plaintiff might insist on accountability among defendants, met with the plaintiff and threatened her by saying that he would report her for abusing her children so as to try and prevent her from making the defendants accountable for the man's battery of her child. It also alleged that in making that threat to the plaintiff, defendant Harding stated that he had a, quote, legal obligation to report abuse, even though at no time did Harding report the man's known SA of multiple children. The lawsuit settled in September of 2015. Floodlit is seeking copies of court documents in this case, and it would be the Wake County, North Carolina civil case number 13-CVS-008873-910. If anyone has the relevant court documents or any other information on this case, please go to floodlit.org and click the button to upload documents and to contact the investigators at Floodlit. The reason I like to call attention to these cases is because this man is still out there, not registered, and I guarantee you that there are people who recognize him, and probably he is attending a ward or a congregation in Provo, Utah, as that is his last known location. Please keep your eyes out, and if you see something, say something. Thank you for helping us spread awareness about SA in the LDS Church.
Wow, thank you, Megan, for that incredible report. We so appreciate that. And like she mentioned, and let's reiterate, if there's anything you see or suspect, don't go to the church, don't go to your bishop, your stake president, don't go to the church hotline, go to the police, go to floodlit.org. After that, get it taken care of. It just doesn't stop because they sweep it under the rug and let them continue to be predators in the church, and they feed them what they need.
Exactly. They raise the victims. And I think there's multiple things. I mean, she did an awesome job. Well done. But it raises those three really flags in Mormonism. The one, the blind eye, that not even just the organization, but also the members. It can't be one of us. It doesn't happen in our walls, right? So open your eyes. If you are Mormon, an ex-Mormon, a never Mormon, go on Floodlit. Those are neutral reports. Those are from courts. Check. All those men are active men in leadership. It's not your random Mormon, Jack Mormon. No, no, no. It's those people who thought you, as a Mormon, think are personally called by God. Any man above bishop, Mormons believe, are literally called by God. So either that your God is really doing a really, really bad job, or your gift of discernment does shit. I'm sorry to say it that hard. The other thing is the repentance she mentioned. It's a very dangerous tool to pretend and think you can heal or do away such atrocity because you can repent and then force the victims into forgive and forget. I mean, I'm sorry, I would run from this organization if that's their attempt to protect their weakest and youngest.
That's so right, so relevant. So thank you for that. It's a travesty. It's sad, and it's well, you know, I have to interject just a little personal opinion about the church. They are the biggest hypocrites that I've ever seen on the face of this earth. It's all about making them look good, sweeping any travesties under the carpet when it comes to kids, and not worrying about the safety and the education of their youth. It's all about keeping those patriarchal pricks, as I call them, keeping them looking good, looking good. We don't want any bad press.
That's right. Lying by omission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's a cosmos that's just bigger than family, right? Families do, unfortunately, for hundreds of years the same, protecting their own, the perverted uncle, the weird aunt, right? Instead of looking inside and saying, oh, our system is not healthy. We need to kick out the people who hurt. But then we're afraid that we lose respect in neighborhoods. We lose respect from other people. But we need to stop worrying so much about what other people think and just becoming healthy communities, healthy organizations, and the smallest is the family. And that's why it's so disturbing in Mormonism that families do it already in that smallest kind of circle, where they don't want to see that the pedophiles are not the strangers. It's the own Mormon uncle. It's the own Mormon dad. It's the own whoever. They're not the strangers. It's inside the house. The call comes from inside the house. And as long as they're not opening their eyes to that fact, I don't see good things on the horizon. You can teach modesty. You can do whatever you think that helps your kids. It will, I promise you, will not do a single thing.
Amen to that. Well, I think that that this has been an incredible show, and we want to finish it off with something that Jessica has prepared. Is there anything you two want to say before we go into her last two items? Okay.
I think we said it all. We made our statements, and Megan was a perfect ending.
Yeah.
How bad it is.
Yep, that was great. Okay, here we go.
I'm so glad our families are together forever.
Who's this?
Oh, that's my son. He's in the terrestrial world.
And this one?
That's my daughter. She's in the telestial world.
Oh, who could that be?
Well, I know it's not any of my kids. They can't come here.
So happy together.
That is a great touche.
Yes. I mean, to lighten the mood a little bit, right? So we came up with the idea that because I like to post content, I come up with the top 3 reels I have, and the top 3 stories, and I make it real short at the end. But I also want to say to our viewers, if you feel like this is repetitive or it's too much, I really don't take it personally. You can say, hey, we don't need this at the end of the show. If you think it's kind of funny, helps you, I'll happy to keep doing it, just upfront. Totally fine with either way. And you can stop after 5 seconds. I think everybody gets the idea when it starts.
Okay.
Almost as long as the credit. Those are all things that people said that they weren't told.
That's it. I'll repeat. So those 2 reels were in the over 500 views. So they were definitely this week my top viewed reels. And I thought they're humorous, right? But always there's so much truth to it, right? I mean, with the celestial kingdom, that's reality for Mormons. If you believe in that heaven, half your family will not be with you. Yes, Mormons believe you can visit, but only in one direction. Still doesn't sound pretty lovely to me, or a heaven I want to go to. Then the Star Wars one was things that ex-Mormons were taught that Mormons tell us, we never taught that. You misunderstood. You're making this up. And that was the huge list of the ever-changing Mormon corridor or doctrine, whatever you want to call it. I thought it's funny because I'm pretty sure we all can relate to this, where you're like, wait, what? It's gaslighting as its finest, but it's Mormonism. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so if you want to see more things, head over to Jessica Frankel's Facebook page, where she posts a lot of stuff. Randy and I interviewed Jessica about 8 months ago. How long ago was it?
Something like that, yep.
Yeah.
We did, I think, a 2-parter because she has so much to talk about. Her life and then what she chooses to post and stuff like that.
Did we do 2 parts, Jessica?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was apparently under the influence of drugs on the second part. Remember, and something that you saw about the celestial, terrestrial, and celestial kingdoms. Even if you're willing to pay to get into the temple, to pay to have your family forever, because it's not going to happen if you don't come up with the cash.
Yep.
But even if you true believing members are willing to pay all that to be with your family forever, my parents did. Guess what? I'm not going up to the celestial kingdom.
Yep.
So,
or maybe to outer darkness, who knows, right? We are all apostates. We're not even we flew away and just kind of Jack Mormons or whatever you call those Mormons. I mean, there's also some theory we could be the outer darkness material. I mean, that's the other thing in Mormonism. You never know. Some people want to believe it, some not, right? Because who wants to believe their kids go to outer darkness?
Well,
You tell me.
if I'm cast into outer darkness, I sure as hell hope I can take my cell phone with me. Watch social media and stuff.
That'd be really doom scrolling.
Right.
Doomsday scrolling, whatever.
Yes. It's gonna be a party, that's for sure.
Hey, thank you all for coming and listening to us. If you wouldn't mind, liking and sharing the video, because the bigger of a crowd we have, the more enjoyable it is, and we love our listeners. Jessica, you did an incredible job today. Thank you so much. Jean,
Thank you.
always an incredible job. And Megan, thank you so much for your contribution. We are the Salt Lake Expositor, and our purpose is to make things righter.
That's right. To expose the things that the church is hiding, we'll say. And I recently did a show, so check out Latter Daily Digest. It's on sacred sexuality. So
Here you go.
if anybody wants to know how somebody escaped Mormonism and discovered her sexuality, then that was a story. And we're gonna do a part 2 on that in a few weeks as well. So thanks everybody for watching. It's 2026. Have a great rest of the year.
Happy Sunday.
Yeah.